Hello and welcome to episode 6 of The Return of the Forest. This is another post-game commentary as we follow my rise and fall in this game. Let's speed it up and find something to center over.
Locked and loaded.
So in the beginning I attack Jordan. Purple makes a few, or doesn't make men, but he pulls his man back so I can't hit it with 2 people. I then proceed to play very poorly and get a 4 income start. I then take over Poland, which I realize I could have taken earlier, and start spreading around the north. Meanwhile, Pink is taking over Africa, Purple taking over Central Europe, Orange taking over the Scandinavian areas, and I take over the north. Well, you know, northern Central Europe. Purple's expansion is rather powerful, and here we see Pink taking over Jordan. Or not. I build a transport ship and land in Libya, but he notices. I then land in Egypt, and he does not. Meanwhile, a battle is taking place over in Jordan. I move over, go to the city on accident. The line stops right there for a moment. I load a transport and land again in Libya. He seems to have noticed, but it was just forces he was bringing over from Africa. Now that I have the city surrounded, it's just a matter of time, really. So I just pump out men, make sure I maintain the city. He attacks in Jordan, and I take the port. Yeah, you'll notice Purple has 54 income at the moment, which is very worrying. I land in Italy. I just meant to deny him that income, but the way he managed to just make so many men there worried me quite a bit, though he left right after that. And from there I realized it was probably for the best that I just speeded this up. TEAL enters Syria, though he has all of 4 income, so it's not likely to last. Red lands in Morocco. I land in 2 areas in Africa and move to secure it. The plan is that I will just meet Red's army in Morocco and push it out. Meanwhile, Orange and Purple begin to fight. Orange starts hitting Poland with his mortars just because they're pulled from that city. I retreat all of my men from Poland just to be safe. Red attacks me in Italy, and I attempt to cleanse him from Morocco whilst taking Turkey. He makes an SS. I take Sardinia, and Orange and Purple continue to fight. Italy is retaken, and I press into France. He moves his SS up. Purple makes great gains on Orange. And almost attacks me in Germany. I wasn't sure if that was intentional or not, but it seems like it wasn't due to the fact that he didn't follow me. I then used this tank B to destroy his SS. I'd used it to destroy a tank earlier. And there I sat. I had 71 income, Purple had 57, Orange 33. And I wasn't really worried about purple because I figured it would take him a while to take over Scandinavia. However, orange did not defend Finland, and purple's forces just flooded through. At this point, purple has 113 gold, I have 169, and orange has 84. So it's rather alright. I then land in Malta, and because I was terrified of how quickly he was charging in, I just hit as quickly as I could. It was rather sporadic. Ideally, I would have taken all of his ports, including the ones in the Black Sea, though I figured better safe. But I would get those ports inevitably. Orange sends us down to Portugal. I build SS in retaliation. Generally what I do in this sort of situation is I'll focus on land, but try to keep enough reserves to match the navy of whoever I'm facing. You'll notice I'm not microing because I got attacked in Germany, and that was very nearly bad. Luckily I managed to get away with no SS losses. I defend Germany and continue the press up central. Take Switzerland too, I'm at it. Make a couple more SS to hold off orange. And the line in Germany is not doing very well. I realize this and pull back a tad. At this point I have 13 gold, purple has nothing, and orange has 15. It's not great, but it's also not horrid. Orange takes France and I pull out so that purple will expand this way from Central Europe into the French area. And I'll pull back, that way orange could only hit me where purple is already at. And because these areas are such high income and low country numbers, they wouldn't really be able to split it. Meanwhile, I press up in this area. And you see how I'm just vastly outgolding purple. There's almost nothing he can do. I don't notice him in Italy, unfortunately. I'd planned to hold Italy, to be honest. Italy and the south of France. I realized, though, and managed to retake it. Orange, meanwhile, becomes a bit of a threat. And then, at this point, I'll explain why this is done in post. Fraps brought me down to a single FPS, and I could not tell what was happening. At this point, I was also making the fourth video, in that I was taking all of my videos from Fraps and running them through the program I use that compresses it and puts it in a format that I can just throw onto YouTube. Which admittedly wasn't the smartest thing to be doing. And so I, at around 1 FPS, try to jump around. What you can't see is that I attempt to pause the game for all the attempts that I have as I like furiously tab out and attempt to fix what's going on. So you see right now I'm just tabbed out, I believe. And it said that it would cancel that video's production, so I let that happen and auto camera was off. And I tried to hold out in Spain, realized that that's more or less a lost cause. And let's see when I actually do pause. We'll speed this up a little. You'll notice my income, or my money, is just building up. I'm not sure why it isn't showing, but Okay, there we go. I fixed the problem. I just turned off frap, stopped the video recording. And then notice my gold dropped from 200 to around 30, and then 0 in a matter of seconds. Orange is clearly about to win, though in a moment of bitterness, instead of building SS and stopping Orange and then pushing him back out, I just cleansed Purple from Europe, because he had stopped me from pausing and figuring out what had gone wrong. So I push Purple out of Central Europe in just a fit of rage. And then I realized that Orange is actually starting to pile up everywhere. So I start pulling my forces from Purple. Purple pings all of Orange's men, because he's also bitter. He's bitter because I attacked him while he was fighting Orange. Orange builds tanks, and I really don't have much money at this point. Orange still has 94, around 100, and I'm sitting at around 0. I decided not to really defend this area, as I can't. The Middle East I just don't have enough money for. I could have used my spawns better. But right now everything was focused on the defense of Germany. And all of a sudden I had broken through. So I flood in, start taking France, and at this point I figure if I can just get it so they connect, they may start fighting again. Purple seems as though he wants me dead, and for good reason, though that makes winning this game nigh impossible for me. I press him out of Germany and keep pushing Orange out of France as best I can. And I just start bolting in. He still has a lot of gold, but I somehow managed to just get the drop on him. Meanwhile, Central Europe is getting carved up. I managed to retake Iberia in that area. Germany I try to hold on to, because it is a very nice defensive area. I pull my men back up. Start a little bit of a reconquest. Orange starts pushing me back out of Libya, and I can't really afford to do anything about that because I'm also fighting on other fronts. I shouldn't have been in Austria, or this far forward. And so he starts pushing me back, and I have to retreat. I pull some forces from Germany, and attempt a defense, though it's just not going to work. But then all the men flood back in, and suddenly the chance of success on that front seems a bit higher. I start pulling forces all the way from Germany, and I retake Iberia for a second time. I realized my mistake hitting Purple. I had been just the fact that, yeah, spitefulness for not letting him pause. And he is a little bit rude. I don't know. It would have been interesting to see how it went without the FPS issue. Orange attacks Purple. Now, I thought Purple was just giving up to Orange. And I wanted to make it at least a little difficult for that to happen. I landed in Africa, and it really wasn't going very well. I try to convince Purple he can win it, so he'll fight Orange. And he starts to. I try to take over Africa, and I'm just chatting him up, trying to get him to, you know, dedicate against Orange. Unfortunately, for me at least, Orange really wants Africa. And so he fights me quite tooth and nail, as you'll see coming up. He starts hitting me in Spain, and meanwhile Purple is just pressing him. And I'd really hoped that he would, you know, focus on Europe first, instead of Africa, but he went the other way. And that essentially doomed me to defeat. And he had much more gold than me, but for whatever reason, he doesn't seem to want to use it. At this point, I probably should have tried diplomacy with orange. However, I wasn't really sure how things could be saved. That was really the failure on my part, is I should have focused more on getting everybody to go against purple at this point. Though I was kind of enjoying fighting orange, just it was a fun war, and it kind of distracted me from the big picture. I sort of passively attempt to get orange to go like, oh, okay, we'll hit purple. But there's really no chance of that succeeding. Something I really need to learn in this game is how to do the diplomacy better, really. I mean, I can get the gist of it. I'll subtly try to make it so I'll not be the target. Like how I had intended to have purple press into Western Europe, and orange then not really be able to fight. It's all like really nice and planned out, and it doesn't involve chatting with other people, which I've never really done in this game. And so yeah, more or less this game was a failure of diplomacy on my part, and come to think of it, I probably could have let purple just finish off orange in Scandinavia, or at the very least gotten himself more invested in it. Because when someone's fighting and you're not, you're making money and they're just blowing all of theirs. And even if his troops stayed alive, they'd be all the way in the bottom areas of Scandinavia. And then I could have just rolled through. And, that was that.